When complex legal matters arise, you need more than advice. You need strategy, speed, and certainty. Pryor, Zarnes & Wallace Law Firm can help by offering expert services across commercial law, dispute resolution, property, and estate planning, and more. So whether you're growing a business, protecting your assets, or navigating a legal challenge, Pryor, Zarnes & Wallace's team delivers practical, results-driven solutions. For trusted legal support, visit ptwlaw.com.au today. There's no ouzo talk without a bottle of ouzo, which is why we love the Greek Providor. Get a real taste of the very best produce that Greece has to offer. From olive oils and delicious artisan sweets to unique spirits, earthy herbs and memorable wines. Visit thegreekprovidor.com.au to see their delicious range. The Greek Providor, proud sponsors of the Ouzo Talk podcast.
Sound is.
Nick, I am just 24 hours away, mate. I'm about to leave you. Are you sad?
Sad and jealous. I just can't believe you're going to the motherland already. And I think I'm 41 days behind you now.
But who's counting? You've been telling me every day. He's been messaging me saying 41 days, 42, whatever it is.
You know how much I hate the cold. I can't wait to get out of it.
Mate, everyone's getting sick as well. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. It is ridiculous. But we've got some stuff to keep us warm, at least for another couple of 2 days for you at least.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, mate, this is our last recording before I fly away, but we've got a number of things in the can, obviously. We've been interviewing people.
We do.
Having great discussions over the last few weeks. So, Ouzo Talk's not going anywhere, but Greek News Global is on a minor hiatus for that time, aren't we?
Yeah, we've got a month off. However, look, with this next guest, I think the disappointing thing is there is so much to unpack with this guest.
Definitely.
We could go on for 5 hours.
Absolutely.
So somehow we've got to compress this into just all the good bits. Or we could do a 2-part series.
We may have to do 2, 3, maybe 4. Look, I'm just looking forward to the fact that someday there will probably be a book that is just bio on this individual, right?
That's a good idea. Yeah, she's smiling.
She's smiling. She's
writing it down.
Yep.
Book. No.
Must write book. We need to be on our best behavior today because the individual that we've got here is he's a judge. Let's put it. We'll do the proper intro, obviously, but be on your best behavior, mate.
I'll try. I'll try really hard.
Okay, so should I do the honours?
Yes, my friend.
All right, so our guest today is a retired Supreme Court judge whose legal career has spanned more than 4 decades in both Australia and internationally. After beginning her career with the Aboriginal Legal Service and Legal Aid, she was called to the New South Wales Bar in 1989, later serving as a public defender, acting Crown Prosecutor, acting District Court Judge, before being appointed Senior Counsel in 2012. She worked before the United Nations International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia and at the International Criminal Court in The Hague before serving as a judge of the Supreme Court of the Australian Capital Territory from 2018 to 2025. A former member of the Bar Council of the New South Wales Bar Association and the Law Council of Australia, she now serves as Vice President of the Third Study Commission on Criminal Law of the International Association of Judges and continues to undertake inquiries and mediations as a retired judge. But I've saved her most impressive credential for last, Nick. She is, in fact, a cousin of our very own Nick Athanasiou.
Thank you, mate.
Joining us in the distillery is Her Honour Chrissa Loukas-Karlsson. Welcome, Chrissa.
It's so wonderful to be here. It's fantastic. And thank you for that glorious introduction. And I think at this point, it's often said that Napoleon said, but it was apparently maybe Benjamin Disraeli, I don't know, but one seldom interrupts the flatterer. So thank you for that very flattering introduction.
Your Honour, the honour is all ours, let me tell you.
You're too kind.
I feel like you need a hammer now and then. What do you reckon?
How did you not bring one?
Yeah, I should have.
We don't have that in Australia. That's an American thing, the gavel.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. We don't have it.
You can see how much time we've spent in court.
Yeah, well. Well, that's a good thing.
Exactly.
So how would you say your order in the court then? Do you bang something? Do you make a bit of noise or?
Well, it's just my very severe presence that appears to settle people into good behaviour, shall we say.
There you go. So you never had a disruption in your court?
Well, look, I'm going to tell you a story that I think very much amuses me. I won't mention the name of the judge who is said to have said this, but it was a Supreme Court judge, not me, who was confronted by a disgruntled litigant who started screaming at her, "You are a stupid bitch." And she very calmly said to him, "I'm not stupid."
Wow.
It's pretty good, isn't it?
That is funny.
That's not bad, right? I'm not stupid.
But see,
Great comeback, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it
did
is.
you notice the response from us, though? For a split second, it was like, oh, okay. Which I'm sure it would have been the same in that room. It would have been like, oh, I fucked up.
Maybe I shouldn't insult the person who's about to judge me.
Yeah. Exactly.
Not the best strategy, is
Not
it?
the best strategy, no.
Yeah. Brilliant. Good stuff.
Fantastic. Well, that's the precursor. So let's get into the episode properly. What do you reckon, Nick?
Definitely. Let's have a drink. Yamas. Welcome,
Stini
Chrissa.
Yamas.
Stini Yamas. I know it's Uzo talk, but and I don't know if this is an appalling admission, but I do prefer masticha.
Yeah. No, there's nothing wrong
There's
with
no
that.
judgment here.
No,
we,
Judge,
we love
hey,
that.
excellent.
Boom, boom.
So to say, so to speak.
I
Well,
didn't even realise you're that funny.
I know, right? It just happens. It's natural. So, as Her Honour has just said, Mastika is on the menu today.
Definitely. So thank you to the GreekProvidor.com.au. We're drinking Kleos, the Masticha Spirit, which is an American brand, isn't it, Tom?
Yes. So, yeah, the owner, I can't remember her name. We mentioned her name a couple of episodes ago, actually. But,
Definitely.
yeah, she has made Mastika. It's been around for a few years now. It's one of the best out there, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. Well, look, somehow our guests keep on gravitating to this, so
They do.
it is a good drop. So thank you to the Greek Providor for providing that for us. And me and you, my friend, are into the Tikodia.
We're very predictable.
Yeah, we are. We stick to our favourites. But this is the Shiraz version of Tikodia, so 35N, great drop.
Very fancy.
Great for winter.
Absolutely.
Keeping us warm. We don't get sick, do we, because we have this.
That's right.
Okay? It's our medicine.
You rub it on your chest as well. Do you remember the old Greeks used to do that with
The Vicks.
with not just with Vicks, with methylated spirits, with tipuro. It was
Really?
it was a thing.
Oh, yeah. My mother has definitely done that.
Yeah, see,
Definitely.
you could definitely do that with this.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Uzo, Cipro, methylated spirits
Yes,
on the chest.
on the chest
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
and in teeth.
and in teeth. Okay,
Wow.
I didn't know that one.
No, don't get me started. I have had arguments with my mother about this.
Yeah,
so,
really?
You know, yeah.
That's what Bonjela tastes like, doesn't it? Apparently, for
Actually, yeah,
babies.
it is. It's a bit like ouzo.
Yeah,
That one.
it is.
Oh, is it?
It
I had
is,
no
yeah.
idea.
I had to try it. It was for the kids for teething. I was like, I wonder what this is like. It is licorice.
Oh, is that right?
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Anyway.
we never had it as kids. So I reckon my dad would have said, stuff of that. I'm not going to waste it on them.
Ouzo or Bonjela?
Ouzo. Cipro. No, good stuff. Look, and we can't forget Pryor, Tsanis and Wallace, PTW law firm, for coming on board and sponsoring the show. They've been around for 70 years, Tom. 1954 they came around, specialise in commercial and corporate law.
Fantastic. So for all your law needs, go to ptw.com.au. And again, thank you to the GreekProvidor.com.au for supplying all the tasty beverages, as Nick says.
Definitely. And drink responsibly.
That's right. That's right. Now, thank you for that.
Oh, no worries. It's all about Chrissa today.
It is.
I can't believe you're here.
It's been a while.
Finally.
Eh? Well, you've been busy. You've been a busy woman.
I have.
And you've had a lot going on.
And
so
indeed.
We are so appreciative you've come in. But we can't wait to start hearing your story. Why? Because we have a connection, as Tom alluded to. We are long-distance cousins.
The most important connection, right?
And our parents are from the same village.
Exactly. Yeah, way back.
Way back.
Yeah. So, well, maybe we'll start with there. So do you want to elaborate on where your parents are from? And
Of course, I'm more than happy to start there. But before I do want to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands on which we meet today and where people are listening to us from, and pay my respects to elders past and present. And I think it's very important because my first job was with the Aboriginal Legal Service that I recognise the role that law played in the first societies of Australia's First Nations people, the first legal systems of our country.
wow. What a start, Tom.
That's a great acknowledgement
My
of country.
God.
That's the best one I've heard.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Well, we'll get into that, some of the work you've done with the Indigenous communities.
Yes.
But, so obviously you were born in Sydney.
Yes. No. In fact, I was
weren't?
born in Queensland.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was born in Brisbane.
You're a Queenslander.
I'm a Queenslander.
What?
Yeah. Shocking, I know.
Where do you keep the second head?
No, I will not have a word spoken against Queenslanders. Thank you very much.
It's state of origin time.
No.
See, she had a hammer now.
Oh, state of origin time. I see. Now I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
No. I was born in Brisbane, and my parents moved when I was about 6 years of age to Rockhampton in central Queensland, which is the beef capital of Australia. And its claim to fame then, when I was growing up there, was that it had the largest abattoir in the Southern Hemisphere.
Wow.
Didn't know that.
Mm.
Did your dad or anyone work there that you know?
At the abattoir, no. My parents ran the local Greek cafe,
Oh, beautiful.
and which classically, of course, never served Greek food. There were cafes throughout Australia of that vintage, and there was T-bone steaks, there was all forms of fillet steak, and it was all with, a slice of tomato, a slice of cucumber, a slice of beetroot, peas, mashed potato, and mashed pumpkin,
Yeah, right.
and milkshakes, and sundaes, and all of that sort of stuff.
Fantastic.
Very good.
What was the cafe called?
New Star Cafe.
Okay, and would it still be there by any chance?
No.
Probably redeveloped.
It was redeveloped. First of all, it became a Thai restaurant. So I guess the next wave of immigration.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then it became a pharmacy, and now it is the headquarters of Beef Australia.
Okay.
There you go.
Interesting. Well, I was lucky enough recently to see you speak at the Greek Herald's Woman of the Year event.
Oh, yes.
And you told a story about that cafe which has stuck with me and that I've told everyone since, because it's such a great example of the changing times and the way things were for migrants back then. Could you tell us the story about you walking and past these cafes?
Yeah. My parents were running the New Star Cafe, and there was another set of people with a cafe in another street, and there was this other cafe that was between the school I was going to in primary school and my parents' cafe, and it had also Greek people running it, but it was taken over by some people who were non-Greek. Okay. And I remember walking home from my primary school to my parents' cafe, and then I saw a sign, right, that said, "Come to this cafe, don't come to that other cafe, because if you come to this cafe, you'll be guaranteed that your money stays in Australia." Right.
Wow.
And I remember looking at that sign and thinking, that seems a little unfair to me, which is probably the first inklings of I might become a lawyer.
Yeah.
Wow. And you were like 6 at this time?
6 or 7.
7.
Yeah, something
wow.
like that, early years. And I just thought to myself, that doesn't seem fair to me to characterise people in that way and to, foment division. But what I found really interesting, which I think says a lot about Australia, is that people continued to come to my parents' cafe, and that cafe did not have any uptick in business. And I think for 2 main reasons. Firstly, my parents made better food. And secondly, my parents were just warmer and kinder people. And the locals, who were predominantly, of course, of Anglo-Celtic Australians, continued to go to my parents' cafe. And I think that speaks volumes about Australia and also about my parents.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Wow.
What era are we talking about here?
60s.
Okay, so
That was the 60s, yeah.
So we've got to thank that sign writer, otherwise we wouldn't have had an amazing career out of it, whoever that was.
Not the best marketing you can do, for sure.
No, it's not the best marketing. But to go back to my parents' story, which is, I think, what you initially asked me about, my parents, as you know, came from the same village as your parents. Initially, they were up in the mountains of a place called Elataria, Labanitsa, and after the Second World War, everybody came down to a place called Parapotomos. And I've told the story of my parents when I was sworn in as a judge. Wow. And basically what I said then, the first people I must acknowledge are my parents, Aphrodite and Elias, and my sisters Yvonne and Angelina. My parents were born in a village in northern Greece in a place called Epirus. And I went on to say that scholars of the classics, of whom there are many here today, including Their Excellencies the Greek ambassador and the Swedish ambassador to Australia, will know that it was named after King Pyrrhus, who was one of the most determined opponents of ancient Rome. His victories as a general came with heavy losses, and that is, of course, how the term Pyrrhic victory came about. Apparently, my ancestors specialised in victories that looked a lot like defeat. And then I went on to say that my parents lived through the Second World War and the Civil War in Greece, and their respective families were on the opposite sides of the Civil War in the sense that one family was more left-leaning and the other family was more right-leaning, and the left-right divide. And it is this that I attribute my ability, hopefully, to listen to both sides of any argument at any time.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And I think that's very much part of what our inheritance is from the ancient Greeks, and that is the whole idea of the Socratic dialogue and refining ideas by talking through them. And I think in modern times, part of what's lacking is people actually engaging with each other about ideas as opposed to being in their own silos and not actually demonising one side of politics or the other as opposed to listening and refining ideas together, which is part of the Socratic dialogue.
That's amazing. And but I can't help but think, listening to that, you having that as your foundation for how you see the world.
Yeah.
How frustrating can it be seeing political discourse now and the way that we interact with each other in this day and age? Because, I suspect it must be infuriating.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
When complex legal matters arise, you need more than advice. You need strategy, speed, and certainty. Pryor, Zarnes & Wallace Law Firm can help by offering expert services across commercial law, dispute resolution, property, and estate planning, and more. So whether you're growing a business, protecting your assets, or navigating a legal challenge, Pryor, Zarnes & Wallace's team delivers practical, results-driven solutions. For trusted legal support, visit ptwlaw.com.au today. There's no ouzo talk without a bottle of ouzo, which is why we love the Greek Providor. Get a real taste of the very best produce that Greece has to offer. From olive oils and delicious artisan sweets to unique spirits, earthy herbs and memorable wines. Visit thegreekprovidor.com.au to see their delicious range. The Greek Providor, proud sponsors of the Ouzo Talk podcast.
Look, you don't expect that modern political discourse will be like a civilised, case in court, and it's expected to be robust. And of course, as a judge and former judge, I cannot, and I'm not allowed to comment directly on political matters. But it does seem to me that at the heart of democracy is an ability for people to talk to each other and to engage with ideas. And if we're all in our own silos, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the problem today. We have to be able to go through that discourse, which I think is critical to ensuring that we have a modern and dynamic democracy that moves with the times and moves with the people.
And given the fact that you have this Greek heritage and have spoken about this stuff, did you ever feel a sense of responsibility thinking, this is my heritage? What the process that we are going through here is rooted in my heritage.
Look, I'm going to tell you another story. From the year I first became a barrister, and it was called the Clerks and Barristers Dinner, right? And I was invited by my clerk, who got to invite, a most recent barrister on her floor and a more senior barrister, right? So she invited me as the most recent barrister and a more senior barrister. And at this dinner, I was seated next to a Supreme Court judge, right? And there were little name tags, right, in front. And mine, of course, said Chrissa, spelt the way my name is spelt, Chrisissa, and my surname Loukas, Loukas, right? The Greek spelling, not the anglicised spelling. And this judge turned to me and in this voice, and I'm not naming him, though he is dead now.
Never speak ill of the dead.
Yeah. So, indeed. And he turned to me and he said, mangling the pronunciation of my name, Chrissa Loukas, what is that?
Wow.
And I said, that's Hellenic, that's Greek. My parents came here from Greece. And he looked at me and said, oh, you're one of those.
Wow.
Right. And I said, yes, one of those that brought the world democracy, philosophy, and the Hippocratic Oath. Yes, one of those. Whereupon he turned his chair around and never spoke to me again for the entire evening. Right?
Wow. And how old were you at this stage?
28.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And frankly, that did not affect me.
Yeah.
I was just like, that guy's a moron,
Yeah.
right? And I remember telling other people at the time, I said, this is what he did. What is wrong with that guy, right?
Yeah.
And certain people said to me, well, Chrissa, he was just testing to see if you're tough. And I said, don't worry, I'm tough.
There's a thread here, right? We've seen the injustice from that initial story that that you spoke about.
Yeah.
And it seems to be a constant thread through all of the people that we speak to.
Really, yeah.
Absolutely. What are we saying, though? Is Australia, I don't know, racist, prejudice, whatever it might be? What is the underlying thing that we're trying to say here with these stories?
I'll tell you what I think it is, right? Because when I tell you the story about my parents, right, what happened? Yes, there was an example of a racist person, but what happened? People kept coming back to my cafe, right? So, look, in every society, you're going to find people who have certain attitudes that actually want to put other people down, right? But I like to think as a society that in more broad and general terms, Australia is a country that respects diversity, but that doesn't mean there doesn't exist certain people who cannot accept it. But to me, I think that's the point. And it's to recognise that for me, and this is some of the advice I give young people who I mentor, right? Because this is not a Greek thing or this thing or that thing.
Yeah.
People can be underestimated for whatever reason, right? Whether it be race or sex or the suburb you were born into or the fact that you're not from a rich background or what have you, or you didn't go to the right school or not living in the right suburb. And people will always find some reason to put somebody down so they can make themselves feel better or whatever, if people are of that sort of negative mindset that they have to feel better by putting other people down, right? But the view I take and the advice I always give to young people starting out in their career, if you have ever felt the sting of being underestimated for whatever reason, be it race, sex, suburb, school, working class, whatever, or, just think to yourself, underestimate me? That'll be fun for me, right? Because it's just use it as fuel,
Yeah.
right? Don't internalize it and feel bad about yourself. Just think to yourself, what does that say about the other person and their judgment and their prejudices, right? Now, I do not, and I try very hard not to stereotype anybody, right? I'm not going to stereotype somebody because they're from an Anglo-Saxon, Anglo-Celtic background. I'm not going to stereotype somebody because they're from a European background or an African background, or come to people with biases about a suburb or about money or about status.
Yep.
None of that matters. What matters, as we all know, is character.
Yeah.
That's what matters in this world. It's about character, right? And for me, I'm very keenly aware of that. And judges are also taught as part of their training to be aware of your own biases, right? Right? Because everybody has them, but be aware of them so you don't apply them, right?
Brilliant.
So just always go into higher order thinking. Right? And for me, philotimo matters to me, the love of honour and that wonderful Greek concept. And I like to think that throughout my legal career I've applied it, right? But I don't want to say that this is just a source necessarily of Greek exceptionalism, because we are all human beings on this planet and we have one planet, right? And there is one race, the human race, right? What matters is this, right? Because it's reflecting what Abraham Lincoln had to say, right? And that is that we must appeal to the better angels of our natures. Leaders must appeal to the better angels of our nature. Not the worst aspects of human nature, but the best aspects of human nature. Yeah. That's what it's about as far as I'm concerned. And that's what philotimo is about. And that's why I believe in philotimo.
Wow. That's fascinating. Amazing. I'm blown away by that. So where did this thought process come from? What made you start thinking like this? Was it your upbringing, do you think? Do you think it's the Hellenic culture? What made you, we understand it was that sign that you saw up at Rockhampton.
Oh, but that wasn't the first thing. I mean, that's just something you use as fuel. You don't let people put you down.
Yeah.
Right? You have to be who you are, right? And stand up for your values. Yeah. Right? And make sure they're good values, right? That they progress society and they progress humanity. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's why I believe in philotimo, right? And I love that this is a concept that, Greeks can't agree on what it means, but literally it is love of honour, right?
Yes.
A friend of honour, right? And for me, that concept is what it's about, right? And, definitionally, of course, people come back to, the idea that it describes an array of virtues, right? If you look at definitions, which I'm looking at here, such as honour and justice and dignity and pride and self-sacrifice and respect and gratitude and hospitality, and that's all part of what it is, right? But for me, and I love when it's defined in this way, philotimo describes an attitude towards fellow humans and humanity, right? It means showing empathy, it means showing compassion and generosity without expecting anything in return, right? It's because it's, kane kalo ke Christos to yalo, right, as they say, right? But taking pride, real pride, in doing, what is right and honourable and being humble at the same time, right?
Wow.
And that's what matters to me, and I hope that that's the philosophy that I've adopted throughout my legal career. And a source of great pride for me was when I was asked to be patron of the Kindness in the Law Society, because that matters to me. The better angels of our nature, and this is something I've said on a number of occasions, and I think this fits in with the judicial oath that you take to become a judge, which is, you take an oath to judge without fear or favour, affection or ill will, right? So help me God, right? And I fervently believe in that. So I really don't care about how much money a person has. Doesn't impress. I don't care what your position is in the hierarchy is, right? If I'm judging a case, what matters is the facts and the evidence, right? And in life generally, it's not money or status that impresses me. It's knowing whether or not people have kindness in their heart. And that, to me, is the chief virtue of what it is to be a human being, right? That's it.
It's brilliant.
I mean, this may be a generalization but many of the people that I know in the law, for example, they tend to be a little bit cynical. How do you reconcile that with yourself. I mean, in many ways, what you've just said is it's a bit of a glass half full approach as opposed to the opposite.
Yeah.
How do you reconcile that? Because, again, there are so many cynics in the law.
No, that's true. Because, look, one of the things that some people say about judges is that they live in an ivory tower. Trust me, we do not live in an ivory tower. We see the best and the worst of humanity. There is no ivory tower going on there, right? But to be a good lawyer, right, you do have to be able to see the holes in your own case, the holes in somebody else's case. You need to have an attention to detail, and you need to, because so often the cases that are that you take on as a barrister or you hear before you as a judge are some of the worst things that can happen in the world. They are the worst case scenarios, right? So, yes, that may breed cynicism, and to an extent, you have to be a negative thinker to just sort of work through what you need to work through as a lawyer. You know, if you're going to prepare, you know, where are the weaknesses in the case? In my case, in their case, but you know, you have to be able to sort of work through that stuff. You can't be some sort of Pollyanna. But for me, you can't give in to that side of human nature, right? Because in that way, depression lies, right? And to be a full human being, I think about philotimo, and I think about appealing to the better angels of our nature. And I think that brings people back into balance. That's what I think. And I've read some very interesting research that's been carried out when students start university, right? Compare the students doing law and students doing in other disciplines, right? If they start off with the same level of equanimity, mental health or what have you, after a few years, the lawyers have a greater tendency, the law students and then the lawyers have a greater tendency to depression, okay? And it's part of it, I think, is because of the nature of the work. We do see the worst and we do have to pick holes. And, you know, it's type A's and hyper-competitive and all of that. And so it's something you have to guard against as a lawyer. You can't give into it. You really do have to come back to philotimo and the better angels of our nature so that you are more balanced as a human being.
Yeah. So how do you stay composed? Or maybe let's put it this way. Tell us some examples of some court cases that you've done and how do you stay composed under all that?
Yeah.
I'm
not going to go into any specific cases, but I'll tell you what I do every time I walk into a courtroom, right? And this is what I always did, right? Because I think it's very important to create a different space, right? If I'm coming down the lift, right, to go into court, right, and before I walk into the courtroom door, there's a little ante-room there, right? And I would make sure that I could come down into the lift, I'd go into the ante-room, and I would create this third space. You know, the first space being me, Citizen Chrissa, mother, wife, daughter, citizen, blah, 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 right? And whatever's going on that day. Have I argued with my son about his homework or who knows, right? That goes. And before I walk into that courtroom, right, I take a moment, I take 3 long, deep breaths, right, to convert myself, basically, from whoever I'm as a person into my role to be the best judge I can possibly be. So I leave everything else behind, right? I leave my mobile phone into the ante-room, and we all know how that takes your attention away. I leave that in the ante-room, right? And I take those 3 long, deep breaths, and then I become the judge, and I make a promise to myself that I will be the best judge I can possibly be that day. And I leave behind any other distraction. It's just concentrate on the case at hand and being the best judge you can possibly be, and judge on the facts and the law, and leave everything else behind.
Wow, brilliant. So you do that every day?
Every time I'd walk into court, I would do it.
Wow.
I would just say to my associates, you know, the young lawyers who you work with, I say, I will take my moment now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is what, over 5 minutes?
No, three deep breaths.
Oh, and that's it.
That's
and
it.
You're in.
You know, and then I'm in.
Yeah.
But it's just remembering what we're doing, right?
Yeah.
Not rushing from one thing to the other. 3 deep breaths, how long does that take? Right?
Yeah.
Maximum 10 seconds.
10 seconds, yeah.
Right? But it puts you in the right frame of mind. You're not rushing from one thing to the other. You're just taking that mental space to walk in composed and ready to do the best you can in your role. You know?
It's a good lesson in life.
Absolutely. And it's what Peter Menezes was talking about and always talks about mindset, obviously. You know, and taking
But it's just a word, but how do you do it? How do you get rid of all this stuff out of your head? How do you clear that
But you can.
junk in your head?
You can. You do it as a deliberate move. You do it as a deliberate move. This is my time. Convert. Let it go. Pick it up later. But right now, that's not what you have to do. Right now, you have to single-handedly, right, and single-mindedly, right, concentrate on the issue at hand, the case at hand, because the parties deserve your full attention and they deserve the best version of you every time you walk into that court.
How much pressure do you feel, or did you feel in those situations? Like, would you, even after centering yourself, would you still feel the weight of, this is important, what I'm about to do?
Of course. Because, like, people will ask me questions like, oh, you know, do you remember this case more than this case, or blah, blah, blah. Every case is important, right? For that person that's in that courtroom, this is the most important thing in the world. They deserve your full attention. And, you know, in the current world where it's an attention economy, the most important thing we can give people in a courtroom as a judge is your full attention on their case.
Amazing.
See, can we talk about The Hague? So I understand you got posted to The Hague.
Yes.
And you had, was that part of the International Court?
Yes. In 2003, I went to The Hague to work in the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia. And in 2000, and I was there till 2006. And in 2006, I also did a few months in chambers at the International Criminal Court as well. Yeah.
Okay. Were you appointed for that, or?
Yes, I was appointed as a barrister, as counsel at the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia, and I was appointed into chambers as an associate to the judge at the International Criminal Court. Yeah.
Wow.
Can you tell us through that process of who you were defending or what happened?
Well, basically, I was defence counsel in one of the cases arising from the breakdown of the former Yugoslavia. And I was appearing along with an English silk for a politician who was charged with being in a joint criminal enterprise with Radovan Karadzic, Slobodan Milosevic, the members of the army and what have you, in relation to war crimes. And so it's basically on the basis of vicarious liability from political leaders to crimes on the ground, in essence, yes.
Wow. So, I mean, we hear that. I hear that, and it's like, wow, this is you hear things about like Nuremberg trials and all that kind of thing. Like, that is a level of law and a level of importance that is somehow above, you know, the everyday and mundane.
Look, I really felt, I got to the point when I made this decision to go overseas, and perhaps it's the arrogance of youth or what have you, but I thought, for now I've done everything I want to do in Australia. I really want to go to the next level. And I think part of it came back to this as well. And just to tell a little bit more of my parents' story, okay, my father was part of the Greek contingent of the UN Corps in Korea in the 1950s. Okay. And he was making the decision while there as to whether or not he'd migrate to the United States or Australia. Part of the reason he decided to come to Australia, and of course I asked him about all of this because you're fascinated about the journey and all of that.
Definitely.
And Dad said that firstly it was because Australia wanted more people, right? And secondly, he said that he'd met some Australians in Korea and he thought they were good.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. So I guess the international thing, in a sense, came from my early ideas of knowing Dad's story and that he had been in the UN Corps. Matters International had always been interesting to me, right? And the UN, all of this I've always found so important, you know. And there's sort of institutions that were built up after the Second World War and Nuremberg are just so important to ensuring that we have a greater sense of what it is to have a civilised world.
When did your dad come out? Because your dad was actually the pioneer of our family. So
yes, he was the pioneer of the village. My father was the first man to leave his village for the outside world, to leave our village, Nick. And my mother was the first woman to leave the village for the outside world.
Because none of us would have been here.
Yeah.
Because if it wasn't for your dad.
Yeah. It's so lovely of you to say, Nick. And my father was very proud of that.
Yeah.
He was very, very proud of that and very proud of our community in Australia. And my father was also part of AHEPA, Australian Hellenic Education Progress Association, right? Because he very much believed in bringing the best of Greece with the best of Australia together. That was very much what he believed in, you know. And and my mother's story is fascinating too, because Mum had wanted to be a teacher. And she wasn't able to pursue her education because, you know, it meant that she would have to go to the next town to go to high school. And her parents were like, no, you know, everybody will think you're a loose woman if you go to the next, you know, have to go to high school to what have you. And and my father, when the Second World War finished, he had wanted to continue with his education and had not gone beyond primary school. But his parents couldn't allow that because they had so many children. So I think that, but in any event, my mother, right, had a choice to marry Dad or to marry this other man in particular who wanted her, and he was going to Canada. Dad was going to Australia. This other man was going to Canada, right? And I remember asking my mother, why did you choose Dad? Because, you know, back in the day, they didn't really know each other.
Yep.
Right? Was she from the same town as well?
Yeah. Both my parents are from, you know, were born in El Lataria and we grew up in Parapotomos, right? And I said, Mum, you know, because Mum would always tell us, oh, yes, everybody was after me, you know. I had so many people asking for my hand in marriage. You know. And Dad, of course, said, Mum, she was such a great beauty and all of this, you know. Yeah. But in any event, I said, Mum, why did you choose Dad over the guy who was going to Canada, right? Because on paper, the guy who was going to Canada was a better prospect. He was, you know, as the Greeks of that era would say, he had finished high school. He was educated. Right.
Diavos
menos, exactly. And on top of it, you know, he his parents had a lot of money and earned a lot of property and what have you and businesses in Igoumenitsa, right?
Yep.
And she said, I chose Dad because he was a kind person, right? And let me tell you what happened to the guy who went to Canada, right? He went to Canada, developed a gambling problem, right? And then killed his wife and went to jail in Canada.
Whoa. Kidding.
No.
What a story.
I know. There's a sliding doors moment there for Mum and a sliding doors moment there for Dad, right? Because I'm glad that Dad chose Australia.
I'm actually getting goosebumps with that story.
No.
Right?
My
it's
God.
Fascinating, isn't it?
Wow.
Wow.
And you don't often get to hear the other side of that story.
No, isn't it interesting?
The other side always disappears into the ether.
But not in this case.
Wow.
Right? Isn't that an amazing story?
Yeah, it is.
Sometimes I feel like I should write a book. There's so many stories from the village.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably what we want to hear more. I want to hear more. So how did your dad, did he come on the Patris like everyone else, or how did he, when did he leave?
Okay.
How did he get here?
He went back to Greece, asked for my mother's hand in marriage.
Yeah.
But they had to keep it secret because Mum had an older sister who wasn't married. And you have to marry the older sister first.
Wow.
You know? And so they wrote to each other for 4 years, right? And in the meantime, Dad came out in 1956, the year of the Melbourne Olympics in Australia, and then he went to one of those migrant camps. And Dad, Bonagila, and then Dad worked in the outback, laying down sleepers for the railway, right? And, of course, there he worked with a lot of Aboriginal men as well, so as migrant men, Aboriginal men, and he learned a bit about bush tucker as well. And I think, again, part of Filotimo, he really respected, the local Indigenous people, Yeah.
What a story.
Amazing.
And we always respected your dad. Every time we grow up, we go to name day houses and we always looked at him like he's the guy, he's the main guy. That's how we used to see it.
Oh, my God, that's so
Always
beautiful you say
calm.
that, Nick.
Yeah.
Always calm. Yes, you're right about that. Dad, it was very important to Dad because he didn't get to have the education he wanted, and he wanted his 3 daughters, both my parents, and I always like to say early feminists in their way, wanted their 3 daughters to have the education that they'd missed out on by, the accidents of history and birth and what have you. And both clever people, right?
100%.
But Dad, self-educated, read as much as he could, really cared about history, and I think instilled that in me as well. And education mattered to them more than anything.
Yeah. Definitely. Well, speaking of education, I heard you got ducks of your high school and at Liverpool Girls.
Oh, well, that was a long time ago, brother.
Well, it still counts.
I'd be telling everyone.
You've been dining out on it for years.
Brilliant. No, look, and what I'm saying is my parents used to look up to your dad as well, both of them. He was like the pioneer. He came out first, and then everyone had not an easy road, but an easier road because we knew someone from the village that was here in Sydney.
But to that point, I mean, to have migrant parents and to then have the offspring become ducks of a school and to go on to be successful, that's not always how the story goes.
Sure.
It's the reason why they came here. But on the flip side, there are those in the community who also came out and sort of, still had the same sort of mindset that they had over there. Women shouldn't be educated, all that sort of thing. Like how pleased are you and how lucky do you feel that you had the opportunities that you had? Because it didn't go that way for a lot of people in our community.
No, look, you're right. And I mean, everybody has their own journey, and also I don't necessarily, and everybody has their own definition of success as well, right? Some people who, and I've seen them in my profession and in others, who might outwardly look, to the outside world as particularly successful, aren't necessarily successful in the broader sense of what success is, right? What about their relationship with their children? What about your relationship with your partner? What about your relationship to the community? What about your relationship with yourself, right? And your sense of self-reflection. I, as I've said before, I'm not necessarily impressed by hierarchy or money. I'm impressed by the quality of a person's character. And just because somebody is high up on the hierarchy doesn't mean that they're a person whose character I admire. And I think this goes back to a very early experience of mine in Rockhampton at the primary school. I was 6, and the headmistress of the primary school got up in front of the whole school. We'd have an assembly every day, right? And the headmistress got up, and I have to give you a bit of context before I tell this story. My 2 younger sisters, who are twins, right? My mother would do their hair in this fabulous little way of grabbing the hair on top like this, and the hair would sort of cascade down a little, fountain of hair with a beautiful bow at the front, right? And at this stage, I think I was in grade 3 or 4, and I would just I had pigtails, right? I don't think my mother ever did that to my hair, but perhaps my hair wasn't good enough for it. But anyway.
Jealous much?
But who knows?
Yeah.
Anyway, there's my poor sisters, right, who were lined up in the front row because they were in grade 1, right? And then their little school uniforms with their little socks and sandals, right, with their little fabulous little, hair fountains with their big bows on their head, right? And then the headmistress gets up of the primary school and announces in front of everybody at the primary school, "It has come to my attention that certain children are wearing fountains on their heads. This may be okay in some countries, but not in Australia, right? And then, my poor little sisters, right, at the age of 6, in their little socks and sandals, in the front row, crying because they've just been shamed and othered in front of the whole school, right? And we go running back to Mum and Dad's cafe, and we're like, Mum, you cannot do this haircut. It's illegal in Australia.
Wow.
This hairstyle.
Yeah. Because John Mangos had a similar story.
Yeah.
I believe you're good friends, and he says hello, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
He had a similar story about going to school and when he opened his lunchbox
Oh,
up,
yes.
and it smelled, and the teacher goes, "Oh, whose lunch pongs?"
Yeah.
And he was so embarrassed and humiliated. But
Yeah.
And he got detention for it
Yeah.
because his teacher didn't like the smell of his lunch.
yeah, crazy. So what was it like growing? So, being a woman, I guess in the 80s, going through uni, going through court, what was that like? Did you have any challenges back then, or was it an advantage or a disadvantage, or neither?
Well, I've already told you the story about the Supreme Court judge.
Yeah, that was one. Okay, so
that was the beginning of my career as a barrister. And like I said, use that stuff as fuel,
Yeah.
Because that one's multi-layered.
Isn't it?
It's an attack on, your heritage.
Yeah.
It's the attack on being a woman. It's an attack on so many things.
Oh, so many levels. But that stuff, I never internalized it.
It sounds
I
like
never
you
did.
thrived on that, though.
No, I know that I
In a way.
thrived, but I just thought, it's like the advice, as I said to you earlier, that I give to young lawyers, and young people on the threshold of any career, If you've ever felt the sting of being underestimated, just think to yourself, underestimate me? That'll be fun for me, right? Don't internalize, externalize, use it as fuel, right?
Yeah.
And I do remember when I was a young legal aid solicitor, I had gone to get instructions in the cells at Bankstown from this particular client. And, he'd been somebody, I think, who'd been in and out of the court system a few times, and he'd been charged, I think, with a burglary or something like that. And I'd got him a good result in court, and then I'd come down to explain the result to him. And he said to me, love, when you first came to see me, I thought to myself, maybe I should have a bloke. But you done real good for me in court, and I'm grouse on Sheila's now, right? And I thought, okay. And I said to him, I'm so glad that you've had this feminist conversion.
Oh, dear.
Oh, what a cracker.
Love it.
So did you have any other challenges being Greek? Did you, apart from what that High Court judge said to you?
Oh, it wasn't a High Court judge, Supreme Court.
Oh, Supreme Court, okay.
Did I have any other challenges?
Were there many Greeks around that
Oh, look,
time?
I do remember somebody giving me advice when I first became a barrister that I should anglicise my name.
Oh,
right,
really?
rather than Chrissa Lucas, Christine, and then spell Lucas with an Lucas. I'm like, yeah, right. I'm not going to change my name.
Yeah,
Don't be
wow.
ridiculous. Look, there are plenty of challenges. But look, do you want to be here for 5 days? Because
I think that's what people want to hear.
Yeah.
What do you reckon? No, look, that's okay.
Pick your favourites. I'm sure there's lots.
Well, I'll give you one example. When I was at the International Tribunal, I was cross-examining a military expert. As all lawyers do, you always judge your performance internally on self-reflection with perfection. And I thought, it could have gone better. It was okay. It was okay. It was good, but it could have been better, right? Could have been perfect, right? And I remember coming out of the courtroom and going into the barrister's room, right? And I said, well, that's it. After a hard day in court, I'm off to join the circus, right? And then one of the counsel that were there, who was from the former Yugoslavia, right, just looked at me and said, what? I don't understand you. You're going to leave this circus to join another one? So I guess whatever challenges I've faced, I've always thought, you've got to maintain your sense of humour in this world. Like, life is absurd at times, right?
Yeah.
So if you can't maintain your sense of humour, you just go under, wouldn't you? with all the doom scrolling and everything that's going on in the world, right?
Yeah.
And the latest news out of certain parts of the world, it's so depressing. So you just have to be able to maintain your own equanimity and maintain your sense of everyday humour so you can get past the bad stuff, because there will always be bad stuff.
Did you ever feel pressure as a daughter of migrants to succeed?
Well, I guess I've got two aspects to how I want to answer that. Right. Firstly, I remember being my first year of primary school, and I'd got a gold star on my report card.
Nice.
And back then in Queensland, right, they would list every child in the class from 1 to 33 as to where you came in the class, which frankly seems a bit unnecessary to go from 1 to 33. Imagine if you'd got 33 out of 33. But
It wouldn't fly today.
no. But in any event, you know, if you came first, you got a gold star. If you came second, you got a silver star. If you came third, you got a little bronze star, right? I got the gold star for the, grade 1. So I go running back to Mum and Dad's cafe, New Star Cafe, and I say, look, Dad, look at my report card. I got the gold star, right? And Dad took one look at it and said, 97%. Where you lose the 3 marks. And of course, I was thinking Dad would be pleased, so I just went off and hid in a corner and cried.
Yeah.
That's a very Greek response,
It's
though,
a
as
very
well.
Greek response, isn't it?
Mate, old hard school
I know, right?
response.
Yeah, exactly. But but in terms of being a migrant and pressure to succeed, I don't think I can top George Stephanopoulos' quote. Now, you'll recall George Stephanopoulos wrote the book All Too Human, and he was an advisor to President Bill Clinton back in the day. And then, of course, he worked as a journalist on one of the American TV stations. Now, but in his book All Too Human, he spoke about what it was like to be an immigrant, right? And I just love this quote, and I want to share it with you. Right?
Please.
Because it applies whether you're Greek American or Greek Australian, or wherever you're from, where you have a Greek origin, right? And he said, Greeks came to America, and I interpolate Australia, from dozens of islands and hundreds of villages, but here they formed a single clan, united by heritage, language, and a need to achieve. Those of us in the second generation understood that honouring the sacrifices of our parents and our grandparents, the labourers, the cobblers, the waiters and the cooks, meant getting a good education and putting it to good use as doctors, lawyers, professors and politicians. Assimilation for Greeks didn't mean blending in, it required standing out. The rules were so clear they didn't need to be said. Make your name and don't change it. Make us proud and don't forget where you came from. Is that me?
There are wind chimes in the room.
It's windy out there. It's okay. Brilliant.
Fantastic.
Isn't that a great quote?
It's fantastic.
It is. Okay, George Stephanopoulos.
I knew I
But
liked
I
him
love
for
that.
a reason.
The rules were so clear.
Yeah.
They didn't need to be said. Make your name, don't change it. Make us proud and don't forget where you came from.
That is
That's-
brilliant.
They're words to live by, aren't they?
That's exactly what I was going to say.
It's like a mic drop moment.
Yeah,
How
definitely.
do you come back after that?
You can't. So, I mean, look, we talk about, striving for success and, those things to live by. But how do you deal with failure?
Such an important question. What I do say to all the young kids that I'm mentoring, right, is that failure is essential to success. It's absolutely essential. And I do love that quote from Michael Jordan where he said, I have failed many times. That's why I succeed, right? Because it really is. You have to, and it's hard, isn't it? You have to remember it's so critical that you either win or you learn. It's all data. Remember it as data, right? Okay? And there's this wonderful quote from former President Barack Obama where he talked about failure and perseverance and resilience, right? And I do want to give you this quote because I think it's a beautiful quote that says a lot.
Sure.
Making your mark on the world is hard. If it were easy, everybody would do it. But it's not. It takes patience, it takes commitment, and it comes with plenty of failure along the way. The real test is not whether you avoid this failure, because you won't. It's whether you let it harden or shame you into inaction, or whether you learn from it and you choose to persevere.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that a brilliant quote?
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing.
And I'm quite the collector of quotes.
Yeah.
That's one of my favourites.
Oh,
right?
I love it. You're like a philosopher, modern day philosopher.
I did study philosophy at uni.
Stoicism. Oh, I love it.
But see, I can't help but think, like for me personally, looking at, being a father of 2 young boys and, trying to sort of guide them through the challenges that they faced, in this day and age. What is your advice when it comes to, as a judge, as a person who has done what you've done, as a mother even, how do you encourage your kids to not be afraid of that failure and to take that data, as you say, on board?
It's not easy. And for none of us is it easy, right? But I'll never forget coming back when I was a young solicitor and saying to my mother, Mum, I'd visit her for Sunday lunch, right? Aphrodite is my mother's name.
Yep.
And I'd say, Mum, my cross-examination was good, but it wasn't perfect. And I feel down, And wonderful Aphrodite said to me, Chrissa, perfect? Nobody's perfect. The only person that was perfect was Jesus Christ. And look what they did to him. They put him on the cross. That's what happens when you're perfect.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's my mother Aphrodite's advice on failure and perfection. So everybody can take that to heart, I think.
That's worthy of putting on a T-shirt.
Fantastic, eh?
But it lands. I mean, it's
Brilliant. How do you argue with that?
You can't.
argue
That's
with that.
Aphrodite's wisdom, mate.
It's Aphrodite's wisdom, exactly. Exactly.
Parapotamo's wisdom.
That's
The
right.
Straight
wisdom
from the
of
village.
Parapotamos.
Yeah.
Straight from Aphrodite,
Yeah.
straight from Parapotamos.
That is brilliant.
Love it.
So what qualities make a great judge?
I think in a way it all comes back to the oath that you take as a judge. The oath that you take to judge without fear or favour, affection or ill will. That you're judging on the evidence, that you're judging on the principles of law, that you're judging on the specific case before you, and it's not about popularity, it's about the correct result. And to me, the importance is combining essential qualities as a human being, because who wants robot judges, right? But you need the legal expertise. But in the age of AI, the lawyers that will flourish are the lawyers that have good EQ, who understand people and understand humanity, because each case is about human beings, right? It's not about robots.
Wow.
Okay. And I think empathy and understanding humanity is critical to being a good barrister, a good judge, and also a good human. Yeah.
I mean, you've opened a can of worms there with the AI. How do you feel AI is affecting the legal profession now?
Well, look, I think it's too early to tell, but it's clear that there will be lawyers who do know how to use AI and use it properly, but who also understand humanity are the lawyers who are best placed in the future, right? But also, at the same time, there have been a number of lawyers through various courts in Australia who've used AI for their submissions, and the AI has hallucinated and given them cases that don't exist.
Really?
Okay? Yeah. So, yeah, you might be able to use AI for certain things, maybe, to do some research or what have you, but check.
Yep.
Check that it's actually correct. And the AI hasn't just hallucinated a case to finish off the answer. You can't just leave it to a machine. There has to be a checking point with a human, and you don't leave justice to robots.
What was it like appearing before the UN International Criminal Tribunal in The Hague?
I can only but draw on the words of Hannah Arendt, who wrote after the Nuremberg trials and after the period of the Nazis in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
And she said that what stood out was the banality of evil, right? And I think that's what stands out, whether you're dealing with the war crimes and crimes against humanity of Germany in the Nazi period and Second World War, and whether you're dealing with the downfall of the former Yugoslavia. What strikes you more than anything is man's inhumanity to man. And that brings me back to a point I made earlier in this interview about the importance of Philotimo, the importance of Abraham Lincoln's words, the best president of the United States in my view, about leaders who appeal to the better angels of our nature, which to me is an echo of Philotimo. And that's what it's about. We as human beings must have leaders that appeal to our best nature and to the basics of ensuring that human beings treat each other with humanity.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Amazing. There are too many mic drop moments happening in this podcast.
I think it's the silence me and you afterwards.
It is.
It's just to process it.
Yeah, I know.
God. All right. Well.
All right. So, quick fire. What do we got?
So, quick fire questions. Okay. So, favourite place in Greece?
Well, of course, it has to be my parents' village, the village they were born in, Elateria, also known as Labanitsa.
Yes.
And the village they came down to after the Second World War, Parapotomos.
Yeah. No, it's beautiful. So, Elateria, it's 805 metres in the air. It's pretty high up.
Yeah, wow.
And it's surrounded by fir trees.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Which is like a top of pine tree. But beautiful. The smell.
It's very special. It's a very special place.
It is. Okay, which Greek historical figure would you most like to have dinner with?
That's a good question.
I can't hold that down to one, right?
Okay.
Kapodistrias.
Wow.
One of my
Tom's
people.
And Hypatia.
Okay.
Yeah, Hypatia as it's pronounced in English and Hypatia as it's pronounced in Greek.
So she was at the Library of Alexandria, was she not?
Well, in fact, they say that the library at Alexandria had already burnt down by her time there.
Right.
But the important thing about Hypatia is that she was a renowned ancient Greek woman, philosopher, astronomer, and mathematician.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, she was adopted by the early suffragettes as an early feminist.
Yeah, right.
And just a very impressive woman, and just a leader in mathematics and philosophy from her time. And yes, and Kapodistrias, of course, with the creation of modern Greece and a renowned diplomat. And of course, it's hard to leave behind Pericles as well. Look, frankly, there's probably about 10 people like that around the table. But they're my first three that I've named.
Yeah, that's a pretty good podcast there. Kapodistria, Hypatia, and Pericles.
Yeah. Don't you think?
Yeah.
We've done one. We've done Pericles.
We have done Pericles.
We are going to do a couple of Istrios one day.
We will.
Yeah.
He's on our list.
Excellent.
Right. What's one book everyone should read?
Oh, one book everyone should read?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, my response to that is, what? Is that if you've never read a book before?
Well, if
Good
you
question.
read multiple, or if you had one book to read in your whole life.
Okay. Well, look, now that everyone's lost their attention span in modern society, I just highly recommend that everybody reads my article on ancient Greece, Australia, and criminal justice.
Wow. Okay. Where do we find that?
It's on the Supreme Court of the ACT website.
Okay.
So anyone can access it?
Anyone can access it. Anyone
Fantastic.
can access it. And
We'll put a link in.
Yeah, and you'll find that great quote from Stephanopoulos that I mentioned earlier there as well.
Fantastic. All right.
And also, one of my cases is in this book, 50 human rights cases that changed Australia.
Wow.
And you're in that.
Yeah. one of my cases that I
Wow.
wrote in judgment. Yeah.
50
Fantastic.
human rights cases that changed Australia. Who's
Yes,
that by?
Federation Press, and written by Lucy Geddes and Hamish McLaughlin.
Okay,
Wow.
there you go.
So were you consulted for this
No,
book?
I
Or
did not
ju-
know. It just came out. And
Yeah,
I went,
wow.
Wow, it's got my case in it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow,
Okay, well,
that's a massive honour.
yeah, absolutely it is.
Well, look, one last question. What is your greatest life lesson?
It is that failure is essential to success. Don't be afraid of it. And I did give you that great quote from Obama earlier.
Yeah.
And a great quote from Aphrodite, of course, my mother. And bear those two quotes in mind, because you do not get to success without failure. You can't.
Yeah.
You just can't. Because otherwise you're sort of shamed into inaction. And if you don't act, you can't succeed. You'll never make a mistake, but you'll never do anything. Right?
Amazing.
Yeah. And I love this quote from Aristotle, where he said, the only way to avoid criticism is to do nothing.
Wow.
Pretty good quote, right?
That is
Fantastic.
That's very good. I haven't heard that one.
Yeah. Look, it just reminds you, I get asked a lot because my kids have grown up now. What advice would you give kids? And the one is, don't help them so much. Let them make mistakes. Let them learn. Because I feel like we're always, because we've lived, so we grew up with parents that didn't speak English. So we had to sort of fought for ourselves. We had to work things out. We had no one to fall back on. Us being born and educated here, we're doing everything for them. No, don't do that.
Yeah.
No, I failed there. You don't have to fail. Do this. But I don't know if that's the right thing. Sometimes it's good to let them make mistakes and learn from it.
Yeah, because that's how you build resilience. And I was reading an article only just yesterday about psychological research into the nature of resilience. It's not something you're born with or not. It's something you do.
Yeah.
You know, you face the challenges of life, of which everybody has challenges in their life. Nobody avoids them. But you face them by doing it.
Yeah.
Right? And there's another great quote from Greece that I love. Kathi embodio ke kalo.
Yes.
Right. Every obstacle is a blessing. And you look at, for example, Ryan Holiday, who writes a lot about the Stoics, and I very much harken back to ancient Greek Stoic philosophers and ancient Roman Stoic philosophers. You know, the obstacle is the way, right? And sometimes the only way is through.
Yeah. Another mic drop moment.
And you can tell because we look at each other and go, how good's this? Quality. Look, I've just got one last question. I know we've gone way over time. Someone's got to pick up their kids. But
Oh, my God, look at the time.
yeah. Look, Chrissa, when your grandchildren and future generations of Greek Australians hear the name Chrissa Loukas-Karlsson, what do you hope they say about the life you lived?
Great question.
Well, you know, as you both know, I've recently just finished my treatment for cancer, and that's the reason I've retired as a judge, and I'm only working part-time now, not full-time. But last week, an incredible Australian died. He was Australian of the Year 2024, Richard Scolyer. Right? He was a cancer researcher and pathologist. And he died of a brain tumour. And he pre-recorded a lecture to be given to medical students. And he said, be brave, be bold, and challenge the status quo. And I think they're fine words. But then he said this about how he wanted to be remembered. And I think I would want to be remembered the same way. I'd be delighted to be remembered as a proud, everyday Australian, and I would add Australian of Greek heritage, who gave it a crack, a good, hard, solid crack.
Fantastic. That is a great way to finish, I think.
And before we finish,
Yes.
I've just got one quote from my son, and it's this, right? When he was 13, and I was inquiring gently, right, as to whether or not he'd done his homework.
Yeah.
He said to me, Mum, sure you're a judge, but who judges you?
Wow.
And let me just tell you, my husband and my son keep me sane, and they certainly keep you humble, because they both said to me, there's no bowing when you get home. And when I was a barrister, my husband would say, get into an argument and said, "You're not in court now. You don't cross-examine me," right? And he would say to his friends, "God, when she was a barrister, she'd cross-examine me, and now she's a judge. She just judges me." So I'm just glad that my wonderful husband and my wonderful son put up with me. And they are the delight of my life.
Yeah, look, I met your husband. He's a champion bloke. Love it. And a good-looking bloke too. Good-looking rooster.
Yeah. Oh, that hadn't escaped my attention, Nick.
You've done well, Chrissa.
Κοίτα τι του δώσαμε.
That's right.
Ευχαριστώ πολύ, Θωμά.
Yeah, there you go. Hey?
There we go.
He's punching above his weight.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we're both punching above
Yeah.
it.
Nah, you're doing well.
Love it.
Awesome.
All right. Well, Chris, we are so honoured to have had you here. We've been talking about it for a long time. We wanted the story, we wanted to tell the story and help inspire people. I can say with plenty of confidence that people are going to get a lot out of this discussion. I hope everyone who listens goes and does some more reading, look into the books, look into the quotes that we've talked about, because there's just so much positive stuff to take out of that not only you can live by, but that you can teach to your kids as well. I'm certainly going to be doing that. So, Your Honour, thank you very much.
And can I say thank you to both of you? If I may be so bold, I'm so proud of you both and so proud of what you're doing.
Thank you.
Well done.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
How good is that?
Amazing.
Hey, Tom, οι πυρότεδες, we're good people.
You're all right. You're not far from us. So it's okay.
Yeah, Sissi Kerkera, it's it.
Yeah, that's right.
Stone's throw away.
Exactly.
We can skim a rock.
That's right. Well, guys, thank you very much. uzortalk@outlook.com is the email. Follow us on social media @uzortalk and @uzor_talk on Instagram, also on YouTube. Nick Athanasiou, Your Honour, Chrissa Loukas-Karlsson, thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Uzortalk is produced, written and presented by Tom Skolarikas and Nick Athanasiou. Our theme music is written and played by Peter Apostolidis, with additional music from George Kalapidis and Bouzouki legend Thanasis Polikadriotis.
Ακολουθήστε μας στο Soundees, στο Spotify, στο Apple Podcasts και στο Google Podcasts.